Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Art School Live with Eric Rhodes, who is not here. He is still traveling. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got a great show. For those of you who are new to Art School Live, welcome. And I am Carrie Stober. I will be your host for today. I have been with Streamline Publishing for over 12 years. I am the marketing project manager, the manager of the Plein Air Salon art competition, which is not just for plein air paintings, and also the community ambassador for Pastel Today because I love all things pastel. And with us today, we have a new artist. At least she's new to me. She might not be new to you. Her name is Lynn Mehta, and I have been trolling her on Instagram. I love her paintings. They're so fun. I love her florals. Look at those. Aren't those just fantastic? So I am so excited for her to be on the show today. I'm so glad she said yes. So let us welcome Lynn.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Lynn. How are you?
Good. How are you, Carrie?
I'm
glad to
good.
be here.
I'm so happy you're here. And I forgot to ask you, where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Virginia.
Oh, Virginia, nice. I'm out here in colorful Colorado. It's very beautiful today.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Seasons are...
Oh, I know. And the colors here, I didn't think we had fall color, but I think that's just because we haven't really had fall for the last couple of years, but we have so much color this year. It's beautiful.
Oh, great.
What are you going to be sharing with us today?
I am going to be sharing a colorful floral flower painting that I'm going to, show you my process, how I come up with a harmonious color palette. And then once I've established that and I know where I'm going to, get loose and expressive and hopefully make some great painting. At least a good time in the process.
Oh, that's great. I'm excited. I am not loose and expressive, but that's what I want to be. So I'm very excited for this. Why don't we go ahead and get this show started so Lynn can get set up and we will get going soon.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhodes. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhodes.
Carrie Stober. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Eric is in his final week of travels. He will be back next week, so you'll get to see his glorious face. I have a couple more days of hosting, so I'm going to relish that because it's been so much fun. If you are just joining us, welcome. We're getting started here with Lynn Mehta. She's going to be showing us how to do some expressive floral painting. And for those who don't know me, I am Carrie Stober. I have been with Streamline for about 12 years, and I love everything about this job. So let's get started with Lynn.
Okay, so I am going to, start off with my colors pre-mixed. Once I chose what I'm going to paint, I like to come up with, this part of my palette being the mixing palette. I like to come up with a nice harmonious color arrangement to bounce off of, and I'm using my entire palette of colors, but my mixing palette, I'm kind of keeping into a tighter range. So, and I like to keep my, just for me, everybody arranges their palette differently. I started off with my whites over here and my darks over there. So I like to keep, that kind of consistency while I'm painting. It doesn't always stay that way, but I like to start off that way so that I have a good idea of, what's in the dark and what's in the light. So, just to, once I decide what I'm going to paint, I want to kind of establish my points of reference where things are going to be inside of this this rectangle, my canvas. So, it's like I want to think about, flow and movement. So like where things are coming in, where my elements are sort of laying in these, four corners here, and where are the, the points of interest, and how I move my eye around to get to those focal points. So I like to just using sort of points. I know I took this photo And the light was coming from, you know, the right window. So it's not really strong light, and kind of washing through here. So, but I know that this area is going to be in dark, and this area is going to be in light. And I like to establish that kind of from the beginning. And then I like to kind of establish, you know, where my brightest colors are going to be. So I'd like to, you know, who's the star of the show? Well, the star of the show is this beautiful dahlia here that was in bloom a couple days ago, and just sort of get points established with the color. So because I've got, you know, this already mixed up, I can kind of go straight to these colors here without having to mix. So it's I can get into the sort of this flow that I want to get into a little faster. So I can establish, you know, some of my darkest darks. Maybe down here a little bit without making too big of a commitment until I know where things are actually going to kind of go. And maybe some of these, the shape of it. So things come in, they move around. Maybe I want to get the inside of this, but not too, without making too big of a commitment too soon.
And is that just a canvas panel?
This is a this is a panel with oil primed linen on it, and you know, I use a variety of surfaces. I actually use a lot of gessoed board. I make my own usually, but gesso board, and then I love using a variety of surfaces. So I'm just sort of getting kind of the movement. I know I'm gonna want to have this you know, come up here a little bit. There's like some these leaves through here are so they have so much movement, and I want to capture that. So when I come in, you know, it's like where do things, what are my negative shapes and where are my positive shapes, and how does everything relate to these edges is important to me. So I like to kind of think about that while I'm moving kind of in these early stages of block in. And you know, what is the what are these shapes here? How do I move in? It seems to me like there's a opportunity with these leaves over here that I can, you know, once I establish some of these darks in here, I can take advantage of, as well as some of the, you know, highlights of color. Where are the colors? How are the colors? How are the values? How are the elements? How are the brush strokes moving us around here? And I just keep looking at the whole thing all over, because that's just the way I like to paint. What kind of inspires me, what catches my eye. Having this palette here ahead of time really helps, because when I go in to mix some of my grays, I can just reach across here to create them. Like this color here was made with these two colors here, and it happens to be a really good color for me to establish right off in here. You know, I can mix up more of it as I need, just to get some of this canvas color covered. I use a lot of palette knife, and I use a lot of brushwork just to cover areas quickly and get that more. I may bring this down a little bit and move things around. I know, you know, I've pretty much established in my mind that this is the way I kind of want this painting to move. So I have to, I'm kind of thinking as I'm kind of playing with my painting, where are those elements lining up?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to get a little bit more. The darkest dark under here, just to really establish the bottom of this beautiful vase. It's actually my husband's whiskey container, but or some cup that I found in the closet.
Whatever works, right?
Whatever works. Whatever it is. Some of these darker darks, just to get them in there so I know where things are going. I'm going to mix up some more of this color here because I think it's kind of an important color. It was sort of a purple that I had mixed and I've since kind of lost, but I can reestablish it down here because sometimes I go ahead and I make a color strip just so that I can get back to some of these colors. And you know, pick up a larger brush here and get some of the darker darks that came off of here. Whoops. Back in here a little bit. So I have a relationship between these here. I want it to be quite so red purple. I think I started off with a pretty blue purple and I kind of want to keep it there. There we go. A little purple. Get these shapes in the back. So even though it is a still life, and even though we're close up, there's still going to be a foreground and a background and a middle ground. So obviously this is the subject matter, the middle ground, but there's still depth to this. And so we want to kind of keep, or I want to keep my eye on, you know, what is this sort of playing behind everything? Where's the front of this still life and where's the back of it? And just moving my painting, my brushwork around as I do it. So
what primary colors did you start out with on your palette?
Ultramarine blue, the quinacridone rose, cad yellow, and cad lemon yellow. And then over here I have a bright green lake and a black and a yellow ochre. So those are pretty much my colors. So, you know, at this stage, all these, and that all the way through here, all these kind of happy accidents really, you know, inspire me, right? So, but I'm also looking at, you know, where everything is in relationship to these edges. It's sometimes, you know, people see these still lifes as not having, they're kind of like swimming in the middle, but they're actually, they're all part, it's all part of the edge here too. I see just a little bit more warmth in this blue foreground over here. So I want to take advantage of that. And I'm just, you know, mixing right across these already mixed colors.
And are you thinning these paints at all or just going straight with the oil?
I thinned them a little bit, and because they're a little sticky right now, I had to sop up some of the oozy oil when I first laid these out because they were kind of running down the canvas. But I don't use a lot of medium. So I'm going to get a little bit more of this just in there so I know it's there. And I know I want to get it into the show. So, you know, as we go across here, this is going to be I know that this is the warmer side and this is the cooler side, but then this is going to turn away and go back.
And what medium do you typically use to thin your paints?
I just use mineral spirits. Sometimes I use a solvent, but not a lot. I typically I'm pretty heavy-handed, so I like to, you know, put the paint down pretty quickly, pretty you know, thin to thick, but still not too. I don't spend too much time doing thinner washes, and I don't like to get too soupy of a mess down here. I do, doesn't mean I don't thin my colors at all, but I just like to keep it sort of not too, I don't like too many of these colors running into each other. They're doing it up here because of the oil. I'm gonna clean that up a little bit. So let's see, let me keep going here. Get back to the main player. I've established, you know, just a couple things just to get me going. Actually, I see one more thing I'd like to just take advantage of, and that's this. You know, I'm doing a lot of squinting down the shape of this face. I'm going to have to mix up a little bit more of that purple color because it kind of slid down, and then I mixed it into the green, which is what I wanted to do, but I also want to keep some of this. Make sure it's purple just by adding a little bit here. Well, that's good enough. So just sort of average colors in the beginning that are making sense to me is kind of how I like to proceed to start off with the painting.
Mm-hmm.
And mixing my grays with these colors that I've already mixed is kind of important to me. This one is kind of going green. So if I mix a color I don't really want, it doesn't mean I don't really get rid of it. I just kind of move it over because I could probably use it somewhere else because it's all still, and it's a pretty limited palette. I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different tubes of paint out here. So, you know, that's not too many. So when I mix a color and I might be able to, and it's not exactly what I want on here, I can still use it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really throw that. I don't usually throw it away. Let's see if I can get back to that. There it is. Just a little bit more of that. I really want to. Warm that up a little bit on this side. Okay, so, you know, it's not super thick, but it's not super thin, and I've kind of pushed it down with a lot of pressure from my knife. So I'm going to go ahead and establish the center of this, you know, the main player, this guy here. Make sure that, you know, what's in the dark over here kind of stays over here in the dark. Clear definitions of light and what's in the light and what's in the dark will help as we give it the definition. Sometimes these reds kind of lose their vibrancy, so I'm going to just do, just for my benefit, I'm going to just do a little staining.
What size brush are you using?
Not very big, they're pretty small. This one is I have a 4 and a 2, so pretty darn small.
And are those flats?
I have, yeah, they're both long flats, and I'm just sort of, you know, moving them around, so pushing them, and not too delicately. So there, I've kind of established a thin underlayer lane for my flower here. That I can build up on. Yeah, I use a variety of brushes. Sometimes I get one brush in my hand at the beginning and it kind of stays there because it's working for me. I end up, I don't like to think about it too much. If something's working, I'll tend to just sort of stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's that lovely gray again. I think I can use it right here in the middle. So, and I'm holding my brush pretty far back down the handle.
Does that give you a different type of control over it, or does it make it looser?
It makes it looser. It also, depending on how firmly I hold it, I can get more control over it. But the important thing is I'm not just sort of standing really close to it and getting, with my head right in the canvas, getting too uptight. It does help me get looser. And I think it actually adds for some more accuracy, to be honest, but because we can see our painting from far away.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to just use a little bit knife work here, just because I don't want to lose my to the green there. And I'm kind of, it's important for me to move around my canvas. Right now I'm sort of coming at it from more of an angle, one angle, but I don't always do that. Okay, so I'm going to get some of these other shapes around here. Don't be, I'm really interested in, how does this still life break the edges? I don't always want to get too much space around it. I want to kind of zoom in on it and at the same time kind of keep my eye on, what's close, what's far away. I guess I could use a little bit more red in that purple. I see. I had a really pretty blue, purple when I pre-mixed my colors. It was right here. And I've kind of lost it, but that's okay. I can come back with maybe a stiffer brush. There it is, I see it right there.
This is fascinating to watch this all come together.
Oh, thanks. It's a lot of fun. So I'm doing, you can't see my face, but I'm doing a lot of squinting. So I'm trying not to focus too heavily on the what it is, and more on these shapes as I go around through here. Let's see. I kind of like this stiff flat that I have. It's a little small, but that's okay. It brings a little bit more of this green over here. Make a cooler, oops, let me go cooler green lemon color. Just to know, who's on the outside of the vase and who's on the inside, and how this is all moving around. I just saw something that I wanted to, these dark greens in here are important to get the depth back in there. I like using a lot of different knives just to get the suggestion of items, the elements, without having to be too exact. So I get more of an impression.
Neil's asking, how do you like painting vertically? What is the benefit of a vertical palette?
Well, I don't really like to paint vertically. I prefer to have my painting horizontally, but I kind of got used to it when I was teaching on Zoom during the pandemic, so that people could see the relationship right there, all on one camera. And I have to say, excuse me, one of the benefits is that there's a direct relationship. Instead of looking down and then looking back and having two different lights, the light source is, the same. However, it's a little harder on my arm, so I'd prefer to paint not vertically. Let's see what color that is. A little gray in there, a little too green gray. There. These are just any greenery I have. I like to use to paint with allostroma, but right now we have a lot of basil in the garden, so I thought, well, that's what we're using.
Gotta be thrifty. Go with what you've got.
Exactly. And the reason I like both of those is because there's a lot of, organic, free shapes. They're not really stiff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's keeping that flow and that rhythm on some of these sort of elements to me is the fun part. You know, I'm just not really going to spend too much time rendering these abstract little pieces, but kind of keeping my eye on, you know, what's interesting
Mm-hmm.
to me. So let's see what I got here. I got this thing that comes through here. I got something that goes back there and down there. So moving along. So to me, this kind of organization, you know, I use a lot of paint, so it disappears pretty quickly, but the more I can kind of keep my eye on it, the better. So I'm going to probably have to mix up a little bit more paint. I use a lot of paint. And maybe come back to some of these darks that are in here. Midtones. So I also do not use a paper palette when I'm regularly painting. I usually use a glass or a wood palette that's been sealed.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, for this purpose, it works out okay. Oops.
Yeah.
Get that a little red.
They're all commenting on how pretty it is, and you can make a painting out of just your palette.
Yeah, that's where this mixing area is where the color harmony happens. So let's see. I'm going to get back in and where's that nice?
We've got about 20-25 minutes left.
Okay. Well, maybe I should get this face done. I'm sorry, what, keep losing that purple. Oh, I'll just use this one. Let's see if I can get that color in there. So it's kind of fun to use different surfaces every now and again. I've been using a lot of the gesso board painting outside, which is pretty stiff.
Mm-hmm.
And this has a little texture to it. So, you know, that kind of keeps my interest. And if I can be interested, I can get more creative, in my opinion. I can have more fun at least. It's a nice, move that down here just so that I can make sure that I get the right value. Some of these mid-tones right in the middle are the prettiest colors to me.
Yeah.
That kind of keep the whole thing together. Oh. So it's just sort of putting things in and taking things out. Okay, so let me get back to sort of the whole, you know, I like to kind of move around. If some part of it isn't working for me, you know, I'm kind of getting a little not as excited as I would like to be. I like to just sort of, you know, go somewhere else. And I think this is probably a good time for me to just sort of, you know, say, well, you know, maybe this is my water. Oh, there goes my dog. This is my water line here.
Oh, and there's my dogs responding.
And these are my greens that are going to come down here.
Someone is asking for the different brushes you have in your hand. Do you use a certain one for different colors, or is it just what gives you the shape at that time?
It's sort of what is giving me the shape at that time, or what I'm in the mood for at that time. You know, these two brushes, I keep going back to them because they are responding to me. I picked up another one. Maybe it was a little too stiff, but then, you know, sometimes maybe there's no good or bad brush. It's just sort of what's working for me at that time.
Right. She's unhappy there was no dog in here.
Just a lot of, you know, it's to me, I'm just looking, you know, at abstract shapes. And that's when I get to that point in that kind of zone and that kind of flow, that's when I'm having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I can maybe step back and say, oh, wow, there's kind of a painting in there. That those shapes all add together and make sense. That's when I'm having a good time. So to me, that's what it's all about. Okay. I like these kind of overlapping shapes in here. There's one little piece.
How long does it typically take for your paintings to dry?
Everybody asks that question, so it must be that I'm using a lot of paint. It's really a variety of time. Like this is a oil prime linen. They seem to take quite a bit of time, to be honest. But then I've painted, you know, pretty thick on a gesso board and not so long. I think a lot of it has to do with the 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 white I'm using or how oily it is at the time. That's the
Yeah.
only thing I can kind of figure out. So I have the impression of that there. Sort of the impression of that there. There. The back of that kind of. If I don't like something, I just take it out. The good thing about using a lot of paint is that you have the capability of sort of taking it off or moving it around. So if it was too thin, I'd have to sort of slow down maybe and clean it up a little bit, or just keep building. I would just probably just keep building on top. But
Yeah.
I like the ability to have this move, you know, enough paint to move things around. So when I keep my painting, my palette mostly in, you know, this separated area, then it's not as hard for me to, you know, think about what's in the light and what's in the dark without getting my values crossed,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of important for me because I always have felt like, you know, values a little bit of more of a struggle for me for some reason, and color seems to
Me too.
come more naturally. So if I can keep some sort of, you know, organization somewhere around here, that might help. Okay, I feel like there's some lines that could go there in the dark, and I still need to build this guy up, so I may go back with some piles of paint and really start picking it up. So this, what I'm talking about is this,
Mm-hmm. Your star.
my star, you know, it's like, it's time to shine here, buddy. Come on out. So I'm going to really kind of pick up some piles of paint, and I may put some of these other ones down for a moment. Getting too many things in my hands, and sort of get in here with them.
When your painting is finished, do you varnish it?
Sometimes I do if my darks have sunk a lot, but I find that I use so much, I guess, white paint. I don't know. It just, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I do varnish them, but not right away.
Someone is asking, what advice would you give for a beginner who is wanting to learn color mixing?
I would suggest start with these basic colors and paint your painting. Mix your own secondaries, mix your own.
So work with a limited palette and learn to mix.
Exactly. Thank you.
And do you typically, so I know that there are some artists who will use, so instead of just having the 3 primaries, they'll actually have 6 because they'll have a warm and a cool of each one. Have you done that as well?
Yeah, I usually do. I usually have a manganese blue here, and I have a red cad light here. But I wanted to bring in, I put my visitors over here, other colors that kind of come and go.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted these colors here, so I didn't want to get too many colors. And I felt I've painted enough that I know if I put, for this setup, if I put manganese here and if I put the red cat here, I might not use it today. So I just kind of knew that from having painted a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally, those are my go-tos, and I will use those. That's what I typically paint with, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. So here, I feel like some depth could come back here.
We've got about 10 more minutes.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, limited palette is really, really important, especially when you're learning. And once you get to know what, the basic colors are, then you can add other colors to them to sort of, see how everything is going to play with those colors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, these guys need to come down and forward. Yeah, so, usually I'm a little closer, so I don't have to stretch as far to get to this side. But it's all good. Painted in different situations enough.
Do you do plein air painting?
I do. So that situation, forces you to, be able to
Adapt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really like to paint from life. So these setups I can set up in my window. I can set them up on tables. You can still paint from life. I take them outside. I think I'm going to get a little bit more of that back in here. The clip is in my way. I'm not really happy with it, but I'm running out of paint. I feel like this got too light, too detailed. I'm gonna do a little bit of cutting back in. So I've got about 5 more minutes. Is that about right?
Yeah. 5 to 7.
Okay. So let me cut back into some of these shapes in here.
You said you started with quinacridone magenta, or was it quinacridone rose?
It's a quinacridone rose. Now, and you can't see me wiping my, I don't think you can see me wiping my brush all the time, but I am. So let's see what we've got back here. This looks a little fuzzy.
That glass looks so real.
Thanks. It was just doing these shapes. Seeing shapes. Oh, it's like somewhere down there though. I have, the worst thing that happens is I get to the end and I run out of colors.
Mm-hmm.
To like make new fresh colors. So, I encourage, students and people who are starting out to, you know, once you get those all mixed up, put them on another piece of paper or on another canvas so that you can see what you, oh, that's a nice gray. See where you came from, what your original colors were. It's all about those grays. Go ahead, and there's a little bit of light on the very top of this part of the glass. And then trying to get these mid-tones in here. There we go.
Yeah, that was nice.
It's fun to do those. Push that back a little bit. So I could probably pick up even more here at this point and like get in some of these. Also, real quick, so taking some of these colors that I had mixed in the beginning, I can come back at the end and really, because I've only got a few minutes here, really, you know, anchor in some of my, that's a little too brown. Got a little brown in there, a little too warm. Is that our alarm?
No, that's my notifications that my emails are coming in now. We've got about 1 minute.
Okay, so like as I said, I can come back in here at this point and maybe get some of this shape
Built back in, yeah.
built back in, get some more of these lines, you know, back in here. Whatever makes it work at this point with, you know, loosening this brush work up here. I could probably, so, you know, it's like, this is pretty thin in here, so it gives me a little bit more opportunity to come back and really build up more.
Yeah.
Than before. So,
well, as Lynn is putting on the finishing touches, be sure to check out her website. It's lynmehta.com. I put that there on the screen, and then also on Instagram. She has a lot of beautiful paintings. She's such a great teacher too, Lynn. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
If you are around this afternoon, guys, we also have a webinar this afternoon with 𝐏𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐭 and Carol Peebles. It's called Women in Art Roundtable, How to Find Your Authentic Voice and Grow Your Art Career. So we'll be talking about lots of different things. So be sure to check that out. I will be hosting that as well. So make sure you join us there at 2 p.m. Eastern Time and 10 p.m. if you're Mountain Time like me. And then we also have, we're here every weekday. It's always Eric usually. Sorry, I'm trying to find the right button to click. I don't have Amandine to do it for me. We are here, Art School Live, weekdays at noon Eastern. Always come and check us out. We've got a lot of great artists that come in and do demos for us. Eric does Marketing Mondays, Feedback Fridays for critiques. So lots of variety. I've got another pastelist tomorrow who I'm really excited about. And we've got a watercolor artist on Friday. So be sure to tune in to watch all of that stuff. And thank you again to Lynn for taking the time out today to do this demo for us. This was really great watching this all come together.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And then everyone else, I hope you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thank you to everyone for watching, and be sure to check us out tomorrow. We'll see you guys then.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.